Just be glad that you even made a bowl game this season after the crap that went down. Florida. New head coach of Billy Napier. Thank God Dan Mullen is out if you're a Florida fan. What's 2022 hold in store? We'll see. Maybe some shoes being thrown all over the place. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a video today. I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, first off, hold on, let me make this banner. I forgot to make one banner. Okay. I don't know where to begin with y'all, Florida. At least you got rid of Dan Mullen. Let's just because I've been doing it with every team, and again, previewing each team in the SEC for right now, going by conference. You people voted on the Twitter poll. I asked, should I do it randomly? Should I do it by conference? Should I do it, how should I do this when my team previews? We've been going through the SEC. Last year with Florida, 2021, Dan Mullen is fired. 6-6 in the regular season, 6-7 overall. They lose to UCF in the Gasparilla Bowl. I got some thoughts. I don't care. I don't care about Florida. I really don't. I like their fans. They're not bad. Shout out to Rattlehead. Shout out to Celine Drivers. Shout out to all of you. I love and care about you guys. Y'all are great in this community. I don't hate Florida. I don't care. Seriously, I don't care about Florida. All I'll say is this. Y'all have been nothing. Y'all haven't been anything relevant since Tim Tebow. And but what about all the years we won the East? Okay. And look, I'll just set it straight. You got a good road in front of you. At the very least, I can say that because you got a new head coach. Now, looking back at last year, I get back on track here. I am a little distracted because I did forget to make a banner, and I was trying to make sure I got everything. But I do. 2021. Dan Mullen gets fired. Who saw that coming? Whoa. He was on the hot seat entering the season. He was only on the hot seat. Here's the thing. If he cared enough about recruiting, if he cared enough about college football, because he's more of a pro-style coach anyway, I think if he cared, he'd be good. He wouldn't have this record. It's not that he cares, but he doesn't have enough in him. No, he doesn't care. He was asked in a press conference, I think after one of these games, maybe the Missouri game or whatever, and he was asked about National Signing Day coming up in December. And he said, no, we're not focused on recruiting. We'll do that when it's time to recruit in the off season. And I'm like, what? First off, you have commitments. And we'll get to that in a second because they did pick up a guy or two. You have commitments committed to your program. And what you basically just said was you don't care about those commitments. When you say you don't care about recruiting, you're saying you don't care about the recruits out there. You don't care where you're ranked. You don't care. You don't care. You basically said you don't care about the program. College football is built on recruiting. It's the bloodline of college football. I say it all the time. Dan Mullen doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap. I mean, we expected a step back. After a great 2020 year, you won the East. Kyle Pitts, Kyle Trask, great players. Those weren't his players. Some guys transferred. Some guys were still under McElwain. They just were down in the depth chart, but he brought them on the field. He didn't get those players, right? You have a quarterback controversy this season with Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. Yeah, I think y'all call him AR-15. There was not a clear leader or agreement, right? And by the way, Todd Grantham, thank God y'all fired him, but it was too little too late. His defense was abysmal, right? They were 7th in yards allowed per game, at least in the SEC, right? They lost so much off that 2020 team. Again, I said they won the East, right? They beat Georgia finally. They got over that hump. It was like a Cinderella season for Florida, and they were better on paper, or they were worse on paper. I think 2020 was like, it was one of those, they're better than their record showed. They did compete with Alabama, the team that ultimately went 13-0 and everything. But getting back to this year, we expected a step back. They went from going, I think, 9-3 or 10-2 in the regular season to winning the East, right? They went from that to 6-7 in 1 year. And you know what else? Like, I could get if it's a down year and you realize Dan Mullen is not fired because of his record this season. Dan Mullen was not fired because of the record. If you had taken a step back and had a hard time figuring some things out, then you fire a coach or something. He just didn't take responsibility. He wasn't humble. He didn't care. He acted like it was no big deal. That's where he got fired. Ultimately, I mean, you won your first 2 games, Florida Atlantic, USF, okay. 31-29, at least you competed with Alabama. I still blame that on the offensive line of the Tide, but they still got the victory. Tennessee, you beat. Kentucky, you lose to. You shut out Vandy. That's no big deal. LSU, struggling big time. But, and you lost to a team that fired their head coach as well about halfway through the season or right at the end of it. Coach O gets fired. Bye week, perfect timing. Lose to Georgia. We know all about them. South Carolina in a blowout. Now, I've said South Carolina this upcoming year is going to be great, and South Carolina had a good stretch in November and won a bowl game. But come on, 40-17. Then, and I give you props here, congrats on scoring 70 and beating Samford. Thank God you won that game, Florida. You gave up 52 at home to a FCS high school team out of the state of Alabama. Not that it's a bad school. It's not even like they're good where they play. But in the SEC, if you're giving up 52 to that, that's crazy. 24-23, you lose to Missouri in overtime. You win by 3 against Florida State. Struggle bus. You lose to the Gus Bus and Gus Malzahn in UCF, 29-17. Overall, just abysmal, just a terrible season. And Florida fans, I feel sorry for you that you had to sit through that. I mean, it's funny, but man, Dan Mullen could not have done any worse. I mean, you might as well have just lost and given up every single game. It's that bad. That being said, let's just move on. That's in the past. Let's look ahead to what they have. 6-6 last year, 2022 for Florida. This is going to be an interesting year. Billy Nape here is the new head coach. He comes from the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, right? Great recruiter, a really good, quarterbacks coach. He was at South Carolina State in 2005. He was the tight end coach for Clemson. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He was an analyst at Bama, coached Bama's wide receivers. He's been a quarterback, he is a quarterback whisperer type of guru. He's like a Bruce Arians. He has worked with a lot of great quarterbacks, right? Scott Strickland wanted a coach that would consistently build Florida, right? And again, there wasn't much problem with the offense. The defense is what was the main issue, right? Strickland knows that. Todd Grantham got fired. Dan Mullen got fired. We knew about the defense. It was the issue, right? They had some guys out there, a lot of great offensive minds. I heard rumors that they had James Franklin out of Penn State on the radar. They had Mario Cristobal looking for a job, trying to get him in there. They were even trying to reach out to Gus Malzahn, but they ended up bringing in Billy Napier. Um, they could have gotten a defensive guy, which I think obviously is kind of what they wanted to go for in ways, but a lot of the candidates were offensive minded anyway. You got to take somebody. They took Billy Napier. I'm not saying that like, oh, you got to take somebody, so of course you got to be Billy. I'm not trying to throw Napier under the bus. I like Billy Napier. I think he's had great teams at Louisiana. I think he brings a lot over to Gainesville. Um, it's just you have these teams. You got a Bryce Young. You got some great offense going in Tuscaloosa, but you also got some great defense. You got some great defense, of course, with Kirby Smart at Georgia. They could have expanded the search a little bit. They could have kept trying. I don't know. Maybe Billy Napier does something with the defense. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be all in one year. I think it's going to be a rough year for them in some ways. Overall, though, you look at the schedule. Let me zoom in here. I think the non-con games are pretty interesting and tough, though. Open up with Utah. Utah, that's a good team right there. Almost won the Rose Bowl. Played well against Ohio State in that game. I called it. I did it live on New Year's Day for you. It's good, but it's some hard non-conference play. Emory Jones, if not AR-15, Anthony Richardson. Emory Jones will most likely be the quarterback. I'm not sure. Florida's not a dead program, but they're struggling. Like they're digging themselves quite a hole. Billy Napier's got to be that guy, and the problem has been recruiting because Dan Mullen is like an NFL type of guy. He doesn't care, right? He thinks he could do whatever with what he has. He could just use the transfer portal, or there should be some weird draft. I don't know. Napier, he recruited pretty well this past cycle, and you still got signing day in February, on February 2nd. He flipped a 4-star from schools like Georgia and Bama. He's an IMG player. They picked up Trevor Etienne, or he's at least committed. He's Travis Etienne's brother. So Trevor Etienne's a running back, 4-star that they could pick up. They got some guys committed, right? These guys would not have committed to the program if Dan Mullen was still here. So this is obviously a coaching change. This is obviously all on Billy Napier. So far, he is building up this program and recruiting. It's just a matter of can he do it on the field. Let's look at their schedule real quick. Open up with a good team in Utah. I mentioned they made the Rose Bowl, barely lost to Ohio State. That was a great game. I called it. Went live for it. Great views. Appreciate everyone for showing up. Play Kentucky at home, USF at home. Then they go to Neyland. Play Eastern Washington, Missouri, who I think could have some good improvement, could be pretty good this year. Play LSU, first-year coach and Brian Kelly. We'll get to them later on. I think that hire is pretty interesting. Then you get a bye week, which I think is good timing. You play Georgia. We know about them, the defending champs. Congratulations. They lose a bit, but they also bring a lot back, and they're going to be loaded just like always. At A&M, South Carolina, at Vandy, and then at Florida State. Overall, any trap games on here? I think the only team really I like South Carolina this year. I already did a preview on them. I picked South Carolina to lose. That could be a trap game, though. It's possible, though. Who would y'all bet is favored in that South Carolina and Florida game when we get there? I want to hear from y'all in the comments. Is it a trap game? Could Florida be in that one? Will South Carolina be better than we think? I think so. Overall, though, again, the only true trap game where I see them being favored and truly it being a big upset is Florida State. That's it. LSU could be the favorite. Tennessee. We'll see. I think Florida could be favored in the Tennessee game, but at the same time, I mean, is it a trap? I mean, is it that big of a deal if Tennessee beats Florida? I mean, it's been a couple years, obviously, but this is probably the best chance to get Florida if you're really any team. I mean, they have a new head coach. They got a lot coming back, but it's not a lot coming back if you get what I'm saying. And again, I mentioned Billy Napier had a 40-12 record in 4 seasons at Louisiana, so he did pretty good. But now he's got to bring that over to the SEC. He's got to put it in play in the Southeastern Conference, play teams like Tennessee, play Georgia, play Kentucky, every once in a while Alabama. You got to play these big time teams. You just have to. And again, really the only like I say trap game, like they might catch you napping, right? Florida State, we'll get to the ACC later on. Overall, I'm just going to call it what it is. I think they have a good record. I think that they do pretty good in his first year. But the bigger games that you probably should win, I don't think you are. I'm going to say 8-4. And I'm going to tell you who I got them losing to. I think at home, if this game were at Utah, you're 7-5. Kentucky on the road, I don't know how they're going to do in the tough road environments, but I think they go 3-0 into that Tennessee game. And then I'm gonna call a volunteer upset. Oh yeah, I think Josh Heupel had a pretty good first season with the Vols. I think they had a pretty good bowl game. That Music City Bowl was pretty interesting against Purdue. They got some momentum going into this year, and I'm not here to hype up Tennessee necessarily, but man, it's at Neyland. It's early on. I'll double check real quick, and we'll do Tennessee in some other video. But when you look at their schedule, Tennessee, just a quick spoiler, they open with Ball State. They go to Pittsburgh, and they play Akron. Pitt could be a loss for them, but they could, if they upset Pitt, or maybe they're favored or something. I don't know. But they could either be 2-1 or 3-0 going into that Florida game. And I'd say the same thing for Florida. You could have a 3-0 matchup on September 24th, or you could have 2-1 teams or 1-1 team on a 3-0, whichever way it goes. But it's at Neyland and Tennessee. They could have some momentum going in there. And I know I will shout out real quick Uncle Lou. And I'll only say this because General Voltard is still dead as the Tennessee superfan character. But if I recall, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, right, are those 3 teams that Tennessee has to beat for Voltard to come back. This be the year. I'm calling it. Eastern Washington, you better not lose the non-con games like that. I could get a loss to Utah. Utah's a good program. USF, they're not bad, but you're in the SEC, and USF is technically Group of 5. Come on, you at least got to win it at home. I say a loss to Tennessee, Eastern Washington, you'll beat. Missouri, you beat. And again, the losses, just go ahead and call it. I think that they win. I think they struggle with teams like LSU, but I think they can get it done. I think Utah, I'm going to call that Florida maybe gets off to a good start. And I'm going to say you win that. But then you beat Kentucky, you beat USF, then you lose to the Vols. I'm going to say you lose to Georgia. I'm going to say you go to A&M and lose. That's like week 8 of the season. Right there. So back-to-back losses. I mean, after the bye week, it's a pretty tough stretch. I think you do beat South Carolina, although I do like South Carolina this season, but I give when in doubt, because that's a game I just don't know, but when in doubt, I do give it to the home team. And then I think you lose at Florida State. So looking at this, you lose the game in neutral field to Georgia. I think you win all your home games. But you lose a couple on the road. You should beat a team like Vandy. You better. Otherwise, I will come on here and ultimately laugh my butt off. But again, I'm going to say 8-4 for Florida. Again, they're doing okay with the recruiting so far with Billy Napier. Got Kamari Wilson. You got Trevor Etienne, who's committed. He could sign on February 8th or February 2nd. There's a lot that could happen. But so far, the recruiting is great. But again, man, those are going to be some young guys that he has to work with from a recruiting standpoint. Just not a whole lot of experience. And what they do have experience-wise is not a whole lot. And they got to deal with just the heartbreak of what happened last season and coming in. But I think if you're Florida, after the season you had last year at 6-6, 6-7 overall, 8-4 for Billy Napier in his first year, that could be something. And again, I say the 4 losses are at Tennessee, Georgia, at A&M, and at Florida State. Maybe 7-5 if you drop a game like LSU, but somewhere in that range. I really don't think they're going to fall off too much. I think they win the non-con schedule. And they got to get a couple SEC wins in there, maybe some momentum, and just kind of how the schedule is set up, I think overall could be kind of favorable. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Please do me a favor. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. And until next time, folks, Ballard Sports Media checking out. I love y'all. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. God bless. And as always, and comment down below what you think Florida will do this year, because I think it's going to be a weird year for them. But maybe they surprise us a bit. Again, I'm going 8-4. But love y'all. Jesus loves you. God bless. And as always, folks.
Roll down Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. Love y'all. Ballard Sports Media. Check it out. Y'all have a good one.